All right, we're back for the Impact review, more or less on time, thankfully. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat room. Please, if you don't mind. And come on, there we go. You can hear me. Okay, cool. Okay, so. The hell. And this new OS is annoying. Alright, let's do this. So this week we saw the return of Open Fight Night. Because I guess now that Jarrett and Mantell are back in the mix, we're seeing the return of some past concepts here. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen. But we start with the Hardys coming out, and Matt's going on about how the seven deities have given him a teleportation mechanism with which they will use to go out into all of time and space and challenge all the tag teams that didn't show up for total nonstop deletion. And just reiterating the storyline of them going to other companies to collect all the tag belts everywhere. And, we're not really getting any new information here. It's pretty much just stuff we already knew. So honestly, you probably could have just cut this part. But so we move on to Jeff with the Open Fight Night, the Feast or Fire, the race for the case, and he got number one. So he is challenging Bobby Lashley for the world title. So Lashley comes out, and he kind of manipulates Jeff into sending Matt to the back. And this is a really cool thing about Lashley, is that he's a badass that actually acts like a badass and not a chicken shit. Because I swear to God, in WWE they pull the chicken shit card with supposedly badass heels all the time. It's like every heel eventually just reverts to chicken shit mode. It's one of the it's the most annoying thing. Here, Lashley, he's a badass and he actually fucking acts like it. This is a guy who could legitimately destroy pretty much anyone, and he knows it. And he's not fucking scared of anybody. And it's such a refreshing change. So I really like that a lot. It's one of the reasons why his previous world title reign was so damn good. So Matt goes to the back, and they have this match, and it's another really damn good match. There's some pretty cool spots here. Jeff got powerbombed on the steel steps at one point. I think my favorite spot was when he went over the top rope and Lashley moved, and Jeff just crash landed on the floor. Landed right on his freaking tailbone, too. Ouch. So eventually Lashley wins. Great match. I think the only thing missing was some kind of storyline support, so it didn't feel quite so random. Because, I don't know, maybe if these guys had some kind of history between each other recently, it would have been a little bit more compelling. As it was a great match, but it kind of just felt like it was just thrown out there. But anyway, Lashley wins. And so then Eddie Edwards comes out. And he wants his rematch for the World Championship. And he does have one good line, the Triple B Bitch Boy Bobby thing. That was a pretty good line. But overall, Lashley really just talked Eddie under the table here. And it was the kind of thing that became pretty commonplace during Eddie's world title reign. It's just not something that he's a real natural at. He was often surrounded by people that are just much better talkers than he was. And it's kind of the same thing here. Lashley just came off as much better. I think part of the problem was that Eddie was just being too cocky. And you put Eddie Edwards next to Bobby Lashley, Eddie kind of needs to be the underdog figure there. When he starts acting really confident that he can beat Lashley, that's when it just starts getting awkward. Because nobody should be confident that they can beat Lashley. It's just weird. So anyway, just making Eddie more of the underdog there should have been the way to go, at least in my opinion. But anyway, they're going to do it at some point. But Lashley says he's going to make Eddie jump through hoops for this one because he had to jump through a lot of hoops to get rematches against Eddie when Eddie was the champion. Okay, all right, that makes sense. So he's going to make Eddie do some stuff, and Eddie's going to have to work for this one, and then they're going to have one more match. Just one more match, and I really hope that's the end of it because these guys have been having matches for like what is it? But it's like 6 months now. We've seen this match a lot. It's always a good match, but we've just seen it a few too many times now. It's kind of getting to be like WWE where they just have these guys wrestle and wrestle and wrestle and have match after match after match until you're just sick of it and you want them to move on. But that's the plan for right now. So one more match, and I really hope that's the end of it. So we go backstage, and we see another little interaction here between Rosemary and Brandy, where Rosemary is kind of propositioning Brandy for the Decay, and Brandy once again declines. And I don't think they're doing Brandy any favors with these segments, because when she tries to act opposite Rosemary, it just shines a kind of a spotlight on how wooden Brandy is, acting-wise. I mean, she's not as bad as, like, Raquel was. At least she remembers her lines. But I think she seems to have a problem with emoting and, acting. And, Rosemary is carrying this stuff by herself. And she's perfectly capable of doing that, but we're just not getting much from Brandy here. Rosemary's getting, like, right up in her face and being all creepy and shit, and Brandy's like... That's it. It's just a lot of this. So... I think she needs to work on the acting there, because, again, it's just another case of Rosemary just acting-wise coming off as so much more... nuanced and compelling than these people she's acting against. It's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to the eventual Rosemary-Allie feud, because Allie is someone that can really match Rosemary in that regard. And I'm not entirely sure there are a whole lot of other women in the division who can. So we'll see. So we go to the Knockouts match for the week. We have Sienna versus Brooke. In a match that was set up previously when Sienna came out to attack Brooke, says, "Hey, Maria says welcome back." So that's going to be a feud now, and we have Maria distracting the referee and pushing Brooke off the turnbuckle, and Sienna wins in a shorter than expected match. So Brooke looks all right. I think she's still trying to get back into the swing of things, still trying to get her rhythm back, but she hasn't performed badly so far. I did have a bit of a problem with the match being too short. It's like you build this woman as one of the greatest Knockouts champions coming back, and then she's getting beaten pretty quickly by Sienna. Yeah, there was outside interference with Maria and stuff, but still, I feel like she should be putting up more of a fight than that. Maybe they're saving like the big blow-off match for later. Maybe they're just building up to it now. And I guess there is something to be said for making Brooke an underdog versus bringing her back with a bang, because there's a story there. She hasn't wrestled in like a year and a half or something, and she had a baby, and now she's coming back, and maybe she's not going to be working at full capacity just yet. I'm not sure that's the way they're playing it yet, though. And, I don't know, I kind of wish they'd given this more time. Even though there was interference, it's like, Brooke being beaten that quickly just didn't feel right to me. So, next we have the DCC coming out with their Race for the case. And this part was confusing to me because they called out the Decay for a Falls Count Anywhere match. Instead of challenging for a championship. Now, they couldn't go for the tag titles because Jeff already wrestled, but they could have gone for, like, the Grand Championship or something. I wasn't sure why they didn't. Someone on Twitter said only one person can go for a championship, and the other three have to just call out like, whoever else. So I was unclear on what the rules for this are exactly. So that was a little problematic. But anyway, they call it the Decay because I guess this is going to be the main tag team division feud for the time being, because the Hardys are preoccupied with this thing where they're going to all these other companies and whatever. Not really sure what the end game is for that, but yeah, apparently the main feud is DCC and Decay. All right. It's a little weird, but I'll take it. So we get this impromptu Falls Count Anywhere match. Really wish they'd hyped that up beforehand. Because this has often been a problem in TNA for years, where they just throw out these big gimmick matches without any promotion or hype whatsoever, and it's not effective. If you want to do something like that, you got to announce it and build to it, make people anticipate it. You can't just put it out there for no reason just because you want to. It just feels really random, and it doesn't work as well as it should. It's one of these things I'm afraid we might be seeing more of with Jarrett and Mantell back. We'll see. I was also confused about who was in this match. Was Rosemary a part of it? Was it 3-on-3 or 3-on-2? Because all three members of the DCC were in there wrestling in the match, and I'm not sure if Rosemary was a part of that or not. So was it a handicap match? I don't know. She tried to interject herself a couple of times, but I'm not sure if she was officially a part of the match or not. But, there were some cool spots here. You had Crazy Steve jumping off the stands out of the DCC. Kingston got chokeslammed on thumbtacks. Biss fell on the barbed wire. The finish was pretty sick, where Steve gets the spike pile driver through the table on the floor. Wow. Yeah, honestly, I cringe every time I see a pile driver these days, but yeah. Pretty sick finish. DCC win. I'm fine with them continuing with this feud. I'm just not sure where it's going or what the storyline is. Is it just about them killing time until the Hardys are free? Because that's what it seems like right now. I don't know if I'm seeing any progression here or any story being told. It's just, right now it just seems to be them having matches and just going back and forth with that. So if this is going to be the primary tag team feud, then let's tell a story here. What issues do these teams have with each other? Why do they want to continue fighting? Because there's got to be something more to it than just we need to occupy ourselves until the Hardys can defend the titles again. Also, what is the deal with the Decay? Can we make up our minds here? Are they faces or heels? To me, they've always been tweeners, but that might just be me being weird like that. Because we see Rosemary seems to be a heel when she's doing the stuff with Brandy, but then the Decay are basically faces against the DCC. It just seems like, is this them trying to leave it up to the audience about who to cheer for? Because I think in most cases they're going to cheer for the Decay. But then, why go against the grain when you're doing the Rosemary and Brandy stuff? It's just a little confusing to me. Like I said, I've always considered them tweeners, but other people might need something a little more specific. So are they good guys? Are they bad guys? I don't know. But anyway, something that's a little more clear-cut. We go backstage and we see Brandy... not Brandy, Maria and Braxton Sutter. And apparently, Maria tells Braxton that Laurel Van Ness wants to get married. And that he's going to have to marry Laurel Van Ness. And if he doesn't, then Maria is going to do something to Allie. He's going to, what'll happen to Allie if you don't do this. So there's some new information right there. So apparently Maria has something big on Allie. She's holding something over Allie, something really important. Allie must have killed someone and Maria covered it up or something. But it's something pretty big. If Sutter is willing to do all this just to protect Allie. And he may have to go through with it because, what the sexy giraffe wants, the sexy giraffe gets. And right now the sexy giraffe wants to marry Braxton Sutter. So he's in a bit of a bind right now. Boy, this is really interesting. I wonder what Maria's got on Allie. This has got to be something. It's got to be something pretty huge. So that storyline's continuing to chug along, and I'm impressed that they've been able to draw this out for so long while continuing to tell a story, and it doesn't feel like it's being stretched beyond the point of its natural its natural endpoint. No, they've still got story to tell here, and it's still working so far. I'd like to know which one of the writers is responsible for this, because this whole thing has been done really well. So we're back in the ring, and we got Drew Galloway out there, the new grand champion, the new grand champion Drew Galloway, and he cuts this promo that has a nice bit of self-awareness here, where he says a lot of people still aren't sold on this title, and is it because of the new rules? Is it because of something else? And I like that they're acknowledging that, because it is still a really strange concept to a lot of people, and a lot of people can take or leave it. But again, he says he wants to make this title the most important title in wrestling. And I like that they're continuing to stress that, because when you've got a new championship, that's the kind of thing that needs to be stressed in order to sell people on it and to make it mean something. So he's challenging somebody to come out, I guess. And Moose comes out to fight, and after their previous two matches where Drew won with a kick in the nuts, well, Moose, he's looking to kick some ass here. But Galloway backs out suddenly, because he already has an opponent booked for tonight. This guy! Years from now, wrestling fans the world over will still be talking about where they were on the night they witnessed the debut of this guy! So yeah, I don't know who Rob Risen is. Maybe somebody can fill me in on that, but yeah, Drew just squashes this guy. And are they doing the chicken shit thing with him now? It seems like it's not really necessary for Drew to do that. I mean, yeah, he's a heel now, but I mean, he's still. They built this guy up as an ass kicker. It doesn't seem like he's the kind of character that would need to do the chicken shit thing. Or maybe he's just doing it to avoid Moose. Then again, he has beaten Moose twice in a row now. So it's not like Moose can just come out and demand another title shot and get it. So we'll see. Not really crazy about how they're doing that, but yeah, I am really enjoying Drew as a heel, even if the chicken shit thing is not the way I wish they would go with it. And he is a lot better as a heel than a face, personality-wise. So that's good. So we got Trevor Lee challenging. Trevor Lee bringing out his race for the case, and he is challenging DJZ for the X Division title, and he wants it to be a ladder match, because I guess the people with the cases can just demand any type of gimmick match they want. So we've got another unhyped, unpromoted, random gimmick match. Really wish we could just stop doing that. If you want to do a gimmick match, for fuck's sake, hype it up first. But yeah, it's a gimmick match, and DJZ is still injured because they attacked his leg previously. And he still puts up a great fight, though. There was that really cool spot with the DDT off the ladder. He jumps off the ladder, hits a DDT on the floor on the mat on Trevor Lee. Really cool spot right there. And they make DJZ look really strong here. He's a fighting champion. He's gutting through the pain, but in the end, he just can't overcome it because he is injured. So they pin his bad leg under the ladder, and Trevor Lee climbs the ladder, and he wins the X Division title. And I guess they did have to get the X title off of DJZ because the guy's been working with a bunch of injuries for a while now. It is kind of a shame, though, because I think he's been injured for like most, if not all, of his X Division title runs. Really, it's a damn shame because he really worked hard this year to earn that another championship run, and his work last year was so damn good too. Just bad timing, I'm afraid. So we got Trevor Lee as the new X Division champion. I really hope they're going to do something with Andrew Everett now, because it just seems like that guy's just been wasted so far. Maybe they will, who knows? I mean, obviously, Mandrew's leaving when he did change things, so maybe it'll create an opening for Andrew Everett to do more. It's a good ladder match, considering that they had DJZ selling an injury the whole time, so obviously they weren't probably going to kill themselves there. So I think storyline-wise it worked. But the unannounced, just random ladder matches, just ugh. I have a bad association with those because they once upon a time they were doing those things all the damn time, like almost every week it seemed like. It just so now every time I see ladder match, I'm like, oh boy, we're really doing this again. So they're going to have to work hard to really make me interested in these things again. And that's not going to happen by doing the unannounced stuff where you just where you just throw out a random ladder match for no reason. I think their motivation made sense because the guy's got an injured leg, but let's give these things a little more fanfare next time, shall we? So backstage, oh boy, Robbie E wants Aaron Rex in another match. So they're going to have a match next week. Why is this feud still a thing? Is this the best we can do? Okay, look, I'm not... This new Aaron Rex gimmick is not for me. Alright? But I don't know if everybody feels that way. Some people might be digging it. And you still have an obligation to at least try to get it over. You're not going to fucking get it over by putting him against Robbie E. No one gives a shit about Robbie E. How the hell is Rex supposed to get heel heat off of a guy that nobody cares about? I suppose it's better than him feuding with Hornswoggle, at least. Not by much. No, wait. No, it's not better than him feuding with Hornswoggle because at least people like Hornswoggle for some reason. Yeah, when Hornswoggle showed up in the Impact Zone, he was over. He got chance and everything. Ironically, this would be more effective if Rex was feuding with fucking Hornswoggle. So that's where we're at right now. Can't believe I just said that. Wow. Alright, so anyway, we have our main event of Eli Drake cashing in his race for the case. And it comes out there with Tyrus, and yeah, Tyrus is still talking for Eli Drake, and it still doesn't work at all. Tyrus is not bad on the microphone. The problem is nobody really gives a shit about him. I mean, you bring Eli Drake out there, the audience wants to hear Eli Drake talk, and when he doesn't, when Tyrus talks for him, it's just really awkward. It doesn't get a reaction. And I don't know why they're doing that. It's like maybe because Eli Drake's promos were kind of getting the fans to want him to see him turn face because they were enjoying his promos because they were so entertaining and they wanted to see him turn face. And I guess that's not what the writers wanted to do with him. So they're kind of going against the grain here and trying to force him to stay heel. And, I guess the post-match stuff would help with that. But still, just why... If you know which way the wind is blowing, why are you going the other way, I don't know. But for some reason, Eli Drake let Tyrus choose his opponent. Yeah, he let Tyrus decide who they would cash in on with the case. And I'm not sure why. Why are you trusting him to do that? Why wouldn't you want to do it yourself? This relationship doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, Tyrus chooses EC3. So our main event is Eli Drake versus EC3, and these guys have had some great stuff together, great promos and some cool matches. And if you were going to do this again in the main event, why are you throwing it out there randomly? Why would you not announce this prior? I mean, we didn't even know who the main. We didn't even know what the main event was going to be until they made this announcement. Do you see how counterproductive that thing is? Do you see if you would announce Eli Drake versus EC3 in the main event, at least at the start of the show, or preferably before the show on social media, put a graphic out there, it might make people excited and want to see it? If you're just gonna throw that out at 9:45, that's not going to help you. Wouldn't you want to build anticipation? I don't know why they do it this way. So anyway, EC3 has this a ghastly, gigantic purple bruise on his side. So I guess that's why we haven't been seeing more of him for the last couple of weeks. That was nasty looking. So they have this match, and EC3 is selling the injury the whole time, and he ends up winning. Because even though the Eli Drake took EC3 to the limit, just recently, when EC3 is injured and not 100% and just like selling this ugly, gigantic purple bruise, he still can't beat him. That bugged me. Although, I suppose EC3 could use a win at this point, and was nice to see him kind of gutting through it and getting a win, even if it was at Eli Drake's expense. And then Eli Drake grabs a baseball bat, and they're beating him down here. So yeah, I think they're really dead set on Eli Drake staying a heel for at least the short term, which again seems like it's the opposite way than the direction the wind is blowing in. It's just I don't know. It just bugs me because it seems like that's kind of what WWE do with the Roman Reigns situation. It's like everybody boos the crap out of him, but they're just dead set on him being a babyface because I guess Vince just wants to spite the fans for not accepting him as a face. So I have a bad association with that. And here, it seems like the fans kind of wanted Eli Drake to turn face. And I'm not saying that would have worked, but it's what they wanted. Because his promos were just that entertaining, and it was kind of turning the fans and changing their opinion of him. And now it's like, oh, we're going to take the entertaining promos away, and we're going to have him attack one of the faces of the company here in EC3. And it's like, okay, I'm all for making Eli Drake look like a bigger and more serious character, and like a more serious threat rather. It's just the whole thing of him being, I don't know. I'm not sure that's how I would have done it. Just seems like they're not really taking what the fans want into account here. I'm not sure. But anyway, the DCC show up from out of nowhere. So they attack EC3, and then they attack Eli Drake and Tyrus for some reason. And this was strange. So I guess they're really serious about elevating the DCC. It seems like they were just floundering for a little bit there. But now I guess they want these guys to be a big faction. I'm not sure where this is going or why they attack these guys. Jesus, like, what do these guys have to do with the DCC? What kind of beef do they have with each other? I don't know. Maybe there is no reason. Maybe they just wanted to make a statement. Now, I'm all for the DCC moving up the ladder, because I want James Storm to get closer to that world championship somehow. And I kind of doubt that's where they're going with this, but hey, a step up is a step up. So that's cool. We'll see where they're going with that. And that was the show. I was always a kind of a fan of the open fight night concept, but something about this episode didn't totally click with me. It almost felt like the show was dragging at times, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because they were doing the open fight night stuff, but they also had these other things going on that were unrelated to open fight night, so it didn't really feel uniform. Maybe I was annoyed that they did the Falls Count Anywhere match and the ladder match in the same week without hyping either of them. Or maybe it's because there was just no real storyline, no real story through line woven through the show, and the writers are just throwing stuff out there for 2 hours, and that's how you get a show where you don't even know what the main event is until it happens. I'm not sure exactly. Wasn't a bad show, though. We do get to see some good story development there. It looks like they're trying to make the DCC a bigger deal after they weren't really sure where to go with it for a little bit. And I'm really curious to see what Maria's got on Allie. But in the future, I want to see more storyline cohesion on the show so things don't feel quite so random as they did this week. Question: why do you hate the Dallas Cowboys? I don't hate the Dallas Cowboys. Um, all right, football question. Look, I don't watch football. I don't care about football. I have no investment in football. The one thing that interests me about football is the Dallas Cowboys. I love it when the Dallas Cowboys lose. I don't hate them. I just like it when they lose. Because when the Dallas Cowboys lose, and I'm not sure how this happens, but when they lose, the tweets in my timeline are hysterical every single time. And I'm not sure why. I think it's because these Cowboys fans are just take this so damn seriously, and they get so invested, and then they're just so crushed when their team loses. And the tweets are hilarious. I laugh every single time I see this. So I guess I like it when the Cowboys lose because it just gets so much entertainment value out of it. And I don't even watch the games. I don't watch football. I just like the funny tweets. Because the fans, they just get so invested in it. And they're just crestfallen. They're just crushed. Like, God, why, God? Why do you hate the Cowboys? You know, it's so funny to me. Okay. Open Fight Night is actually the only good concept from the Hogan era. Yeah. I like the concept. I'm not sure. Not sure the execution was ever quite there. And, they've changed the execution a little bit this time. So I'd like to see them refine it and explain it a little better than they did here. Because, again, I was a little confused about what the rules exactly were. Let's see. I thought that all the briefcase holders were supposed to have title matches. Yeah, so did I. I thought that was the way they were doing it, and then it's different. No, it's like, no, the Hardys can't be challenged because Jeff already wrestled tonight. But I thought they were all going for championships. You see, there was some confusion there. This is what happens when you don't explain things properly. Why would I fight for a case when I just want to challenge somebody for a match next week? Do I need the case for that? Yeah, exactly. You don't really need the case for that. You get people. This is a wrestling show. You have people coming out to challenge other people all the time. It's not uncommon. So I'm not sure why you need a case for it. Always thought Brooke was average as fuck in the ring. Never understood why she was so over. Really? Never understood? Well, there's her looks. There's her body. Those are two big factors. She's also very charismatic. She's a very likable person in general. Plus, she basically started not at zero, but she was kind of bad when she started wrestling, and then she improved very quickly. She surpassed a number of the current knockouts in pretty short order in terms of wrestling quality. So. And she climbed the ladder real fast, and you need to be pretty talented in order to do that. So, at one point, I just thought she was just a waste of money, and she became my favorite knockout over time just by her steady improvement. And so average as fuck? No, I don't agree with that at all. I wonder why they changed Lashley's theme since the previous one was made by Dale Oliver as well. Oh man, don't get me started on that. He comes out to this new music and it's the most generic, forgettable stuff in the friggin' world. Why would they change it? I mean, the theme he'd been using wasn't the best theme ever, but it was better than this shit. You looking forward to the Cena versus Orton match at WrestleMania? No, I'm not. As I understand it, the current plan is to have Cena in a mixed tag match with his girlfriend versus Miz and Maurice. I don't care to see that either. So I guess they've had a couple different plans. The plans have changed for Cena a couple times at WrestleMania, and I haven't cared for a single one of them yet. Whenever Lashley cuts promos, it doesn't seem one bit scripted. I suspect it's not scripted. He's just going off the cuff here. That's why it sounds authentic. And the Triple B punchline came off so unnatural and fell flat. I guess kind of. It was a good line. I think the problem was the delivery. And again, that's one of Eddie's Achilles' heels there. I think it was a good line. It just could have been, I don't know, could have been delivered better. Eddie Edwards comes off like a heel. Plus, it says something about your mic skills when Bobby Lashley is way better than you in that department, even though Lashley has become a good talker himself. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree there. It goes back to what I said about Eddie a few minutes ago. I think he was just too cocky in that segment, and that's why it was awkward. Because when you start acting confident that you can beat a guy like Bobby Lashley, that's when, I don't know, it kind of makes me want to root against you, because nobody should be confident that they can beat a guy like that. And here's a guy who just beat Jeff Hardy clean. And he didn't cheat or do chicken shit stuff or anything. No, he went out there legit and he beat Jeff Hardy legit. And now you're coming out here and calling him a bitch? It just seemed like a misplaced insult to throw out there. Good line. I just don't think he should have been acting as cocky as he was, all things considered. I thought Rosemary and Brandy were about to make out with the way Rosemary got in her face. I think that was intentional, actually. I think Rosemary does stuff like that a couple times just to get under the skin of her opponents. She did it a little bit. She did it a little bit with Jade before. Now she's doing it a little bit with Brandy. I guess it's just to make the other girl uncomfortable. Is she trying to seduce them in ways other than just trying to bring them into the decay? It's just another facet of the Rosemary character that's kind of cool. Because she's got so many layers. A lot of layers. Let's see, the DCC really shined this week. Yeah. It's a big week for them, wasn't it? My problem is that Sienna always wins with interference. I hope both Brooke and Allie beat the shit out of Maria. Yeah, Sienna's supposed to be the heavy, the muscle. She shouldn't always need interference to win, but at the same time, I don't want Brooke to lose a match clean, I want Brooke to be somewhat protected. So I guess that's what this was about. So I guess you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either Brooke's got to lose, if Sienna's going to win clean, then Brooke's got to lose clean. And I want one, but I don't want the other. And just, I guess a good compromise leaves everybody unhappy, You see Trevor Lee using option C. Probably not. Option C is... I think you kind of want a babyface to use option C because you don't want to root against the X Division guy. And plus, we don't even know who's going to be the world champion by the time they get around to that. So Brandy can't wrestle, can't act, and Cody is not there at the moment. There is no reason for TNA to use this woman. Cody is not worth all this ass-kissing when he's not there full-time. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think if they have to keep Brandy around to keep Cody coming back, then use her on Explosion. Put her in Explosion matches until she gets better. She's not wrestling on Impact every week, and so far they've been using her sparingly. But segments like the one with Rosemary backstage just show that she's just not ready for this. She's being rushed. Use her in Just use her on Explosion. I mean, there's no reason to put her on Impact. I thought Decay versus DCC should have been the main event. Nothing against Eli and EC3, but Decay versus DCC was a much better match. You could make that argument, but Eli Drake had the number 4 case, so he had to cash in last, which might be a weakness in this concept of numbering the cases. Also, because I guess they wanted to end on the cliffhanger of why the DCC attacked EC3 and Eli Drake and Tyrus. That was probably the most compelling cliffhanger they could have gone out on. I don't really disagree with you about the Falls Count Anywhere being the better match, though. I guess they wanted to go out on some kind of storyline hook. That part I do agree with, though. Okay. Glad DJZ lost, but I'd rather he lost the title to Andrew Everett because we've already seen Trevor Lee as the X Division champion. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do think they need to do more with Andrew Everett because that guy's just... They've had nothing for him so far. And, I'm hopeful that they will. Just because it seems like, I don't know, they're trying... I don't know, it seems like the Helms Dynasty is starting to exclude him a little bit, so maybe they're doing something with that. Fingers crossed. Honestly dreading the Rosemary versus Cody's wife feud. She is too green to be in the ring with Rosemary. And she's too green to be wrestling on TV in general. Alright. The next time they book a fight in the crowd, they need to make sure that there would be enough lighting for us to see it. I had trouble enjoying the action in the crowd during the match. Yeah, the way they've lit the crowd has often been a problem. I mean, I'd like to see them get more color in there because sometimes they just don't bother putting any color in there at all and it just looks kind of drab and gray. But at least we're not blacking out the crowd like they used to. And remember that when it just looked like you could barely see the crowd at all, and it kind of looked like the wrestlers were just working in an empty arena. Glad we're not doing that shit anymore. But yeah, the lighting could be better. I agree with that. Where's Allie? She hasn't been doing anything the last several weeks. Well, I mean, they're continuing the story. Right now, the story is focusing on the stuff with LVN and Braxton Sutter. I mean, Allie is always mentioned there. I think she hasn't been on the show just because they're focusing on other parts of this feud. I mean, she's still very much a part of the storyline. She just didn't need to be on screen for that chapter of it. Okay. Squashes for Galloway are going to be fun. I just hope they can actually keep him because we don't need another guy who will look like a god just before leaving the company. Oh man, don't get me started on that again. But yeah, they really need to keep Galloway. Losing him would be a big blow. And also they need to keep Mike Bennett too while we're at it. Those are two of the legit main eventers that they built up last year. Losing either of them, that would suck. Okay. Sienna needs to talk more. Yeah, no kidding. I look forward to the day when they separate Sienna from Maria, so that way Sienna can start talking for herself, because she can cut great promos, and it just seems odd that they don't take advantage of that. And I am going to open the window. 1 second. It's getting a little warm in here. Sorry about that. If Gale was healthy, do you think they would focus on the other knockouts? Not to the extent that they are now. No, I think we all know that. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of enjoying Gale being out. You know, I don't root for anyone to get injured, but I am enjoying the fact that she's not there right now. Because let's be honest, most of the knockouts would not be getting the pushes they're getting, would not be getting featured as much as they're getting right now if Gale was there. I think we all know that. Because when Gale is there, it's the Gail Kim show all the time. You know, and she'd once again be getting the lion's share of the focus, and the other girls would just be supporting players at best. Why is Robbie E still using bro when he's meant to be more serious? Because that's the only mode he has. And I don't think he has any desire to change it. Even though what he's been doing has not worked. Has never worked. And I think the guy just doesn't care enough to change himself into something that might work better. He just wants to do what he wants to do, and he doesn't really give a shit. It's one of the reasons why I can't stand the fucker. I can't stand the fucking guy. Well, I don't like that Eli Drake doesn't talk. I actually like Tyrus's role in this whole thing. He might be one of the most boring wrestlers in the ring, but he's definitely not bad on the mic. He's not bad on the mic. I just think that people still don't care about him. And that's the problem. I think the fans just view Tyrus as an impediment to getting Eli Drake back on the mic. And I don't think these segments with him talking for Eli Drake work. I just don't. If they turn Eli Drake face, he'll go neck and neck with EC3 in terms of reaction. You're probably not wrong. Okay. If whenever Gale is healthy and she comes back and they book her to defeat Rosemary, hope that never happens, do you think fans will boo Gale and cheer for Rosemary even more? In the event that happened, I think, yeah, that's a pretty good guess. We saw at the One Night Only show when Gale came out and assured everybody that she was coming back for her championship, and then Rosemary got in her face and punked her out. They were presenting Gale as the face and Rosemary as the heel, but the fans supported Rosemary. By the end of that segment, they were chanting Rosemary's name. And then we saw after the Monsters Ball, Gale comes out to check on Jade, again playing the face, and then Rosemary gets in the ring and spews mist in Gale's face, and the fans were chanting, "Thank you, Rosemary," as she walked backstage. I think the fans have already chosen to support Rosemary against Gale. So if they want to bring Gale back as a face, I don't know. I don't think it'll work. And God forbid if they have Gale take the title back from Rosemary, I think it'll just make the fans resent Gale even more because Rosemary is so damn interesting and so popular. So yeah, I absolutely think it would just turn the fans against Gale if they did that, and I hope they won't. Really hope they won't. Open Fight Night is an element of randomness, calling someone out, for instance, so you can't hype matches people choose randomly. You can if they choose who they're going to hype out and let that be known ahead of time. Just saying. How should the Maria Ali feud end? Because we know Maria can't wrestle, so what would be the point of winning a match against her? The point would be to just get heat on her. It's not always about having a good match. Sometimes it's about getting the characters over. And Ali would not need to have a good match with Maria to get her revenge. She just needs to beat Maria up. Honestly, Maria and Ali have not had a single match in this feud, and it's one of the most effective feuds in the entire company right now because it's gotten Ali incredibly over, all thanks to this feud, and that's without them having a single match. They wouldn't need to have a good match in order to pay this off. They just need to have Ali, beat up Maria or something. They can do that without having a great match. Okay. Besides Moose, who else can Lashley feud with? That's a good question. I think Moose has probably got to be the top contender, if not like one of the top contenders. That is a good question, though, because, for several months, the title picture was just Lashley, EC3, and Eddie Edwards. So I guess you could reinsert Jeff Hardy in there if he's not too busy with the tag team stuff. I don't know, possibly Broken Matt? But yeah, I definitely think the Moose is like the top of the list right now. Why is Robbie E having a feud with Aaron Rex? What is the point of this? I don't know. I really don't know. Because you want people to boo Aaron Rex, but they're not going to support Robbie E against Aaron Rex because no one gives a shit about Robbie E. So your Rex isn't going to get heat by feuding with this motherfucker. So again, what's the point? I don't know. Okay. Hope they don't make Rosemary look weak in the feud with Brandy, because that would look so stupid. Agreed. So Decay are recruiting new members. I don't know if they're recruiting new members. They're just propositioning people from time to time. I don't know if they're like actively recruiting. TNA pushed the damn barricade a few feet back. Ah, man, I've wanted them to push that crowd barrier back for years. I don't know. It would improve the aesthetic of the show so much if they could create more space around ringside, because it's just so tightly compacted in there. WWE, the set looks really nice because there's tons of room. There's tons of space around ringside for them to fight and stuff. And TNA is just this really narrow corridor between the ring apron and the and the crowd barrier. It doesn't look good. I've wanted them to create more space around that area for years, and it hasn't happened. I don't know why. Let's see. Sienna is a beast on the mic, which means let's not make her talk. Yeah, I know. It's stupid. Okay. What other YouTubers do you follow? Well, Mundane Matt. He's like the only news guy that I follow. He talks about news and pop culture and gives his unbiased take on it. Mundane Matt's really good. One of my favorites is The Amazing Atheist. Even though he tends to offend a lot of people, I kind of like that. I don't think he's a bad guy. He just has his own unique take on things, and he doesn't really care who he pisses off in the process. Plus, he's a really entertaining guy too. Who the hell else? Lindsay Ellis, of course. A lot of that guy with the glasses people around here, or Channel Awesome people rather. Even though she's not on Channel Awesome anymore. Obscurus Lupa's really funny. Boy, who the hell else? Um, yeah, so those are a couple of them. Can't Gail realize she's not as over as she used to be? Why force it? It's good. It's probably be a better question for TNA management because they don't seem to realize that the Gail Kim ship has been sailing for a while, and they just want to. They still think the Gail is like the greatest thing ever. Hey, look, I'll give her all the respect that she's earned, but at the same time, it's been quite a number of years now with Gail at the top of the division. I think people are ready for someone new, and I don't think TNA or Gail understand that. Who's more annoying, Gail and her being the focus of the Knockout division, or Robbie E and him never changing his character? I think right now I'd say Gail, just because it's more egregious to me. Like, she's in a position to cause more damage by doing what she's doing, whereas Robbie E and his stupid character, I mean, it's annoying, but it's not really hurting anybody just because he's basically a jobber at this point. Whereas Gail constantly being the focus of the Knockout division, that becomes detrimental to the division itself. And it kind of holds back everyone else in the division when she's always at the top of it, you know? Brooke hasn't performed badly. Then what the hell was that submission she tried? Yeah, when I said she hasn't performed badly, what I meant was she hasn't performed badly for someone who hasn't wrestled in a year and a half. I'm making considerations. I'm making allowances for that. Look, yeah, she's wrestling okay, considering that she's got a year and a half of ring rust that she needs to shake off. I'm saying that she could be performing a lot worse. But I know she's talented, and I know she'll shake it off. That's why I'm not really giving her crap for it. How can Allie get back at Maria and LVN without defeating them in a match? Well, I believe she already defeated LVN in a match. And maybe she will defeat Maria in a match. We don't know. That could very, very well be what happens. Now, will it be a great match? No, because Maria's not a very good wrestler. But what my point is that it doesn't have to be a great match, because the characters and the storyline are gonna be more important in that situation. And that's what's gonna carry it. I think people will care and they'll react to it just because they want to see Allie get revenge on Maria. They don't really care about it being a great match. They just want to see Allie, kick Maria's ass, and they can do that without it being a 4-star match. In that case, the quality of the match in that case is irrelevant. They just want to see the characters get what they're due. TNA still thinks Gail is this huge star in the division because of her legacy, but she isn't over with fans of today. Allie, Rosemary, and Brooke all get way louder reactions opposed to Gail. Yeah, exactly. Do you think Rosemary will help elevate Brandy or expose her shortcomings in the ring as a character as a character? Well, we're already seeing her expose Brandy's shortcomings as a character. We don't know how the match is going to go when the match inevitably happens. I have been thoroughly underwhelmed with Brandy's in-ring performances so far. But we don't know. We don't know how it'll be booked, or how much offense Brandy is going to be in. I'm not optimistic about how well she'll do, but we don't know yet. Okay. Allie versus Maria has to be a gimmick match. Maybe Allie putting her through a table to end her freedom, gain her freedom. I don't think it has to be a gimmick match, really. I don't know if honestly, I don't know if it has to be a match at all. Technically, could just be a big brawl with Maria, with Allie, beating Maria down, and maybe I don't know, throwing her in a trash can or something. I think it would help if there was a match. But I don't think it absolutely needs to be one, because the way the storyline has been set up, it hasn't really been about wrestling that much. It's been about the characters. All right, last question, and then we'll call it a day. With Gail not being as popular as the other knockouts, would they still put the title on Gail when she returns? I'm afraid that they will, because I don't think TNA really understands that Gail is not as popular as she once was. They seem to have their heads in the sand in that regard. And I think they may end up putting the title back on her just because they want her to have the most title reigns out of any knockout ever. They want her to have that accolade too. She's got every other she's got every other record in the division. Why not give her that one too? Because she's Gail Kim. I think that's their mentality, and it sucks. But I don't think that's just been their MO when it comes to Gail Kim, and I don't think anything has really changed in that regard since then. And that, I think, is going to be it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. Good stream. Thanks for all your questions and comments. And I will see you guys on Thursday. The Comic Show post-show. We've got S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got Arrow, we've got probably ranting and tearing the Flash a new asshole yet again, because, wow, that show has been really bad lately. And if you guys want to talk about Riverdale, because that's technically a comic book show too, you can ask me about that, because that show I think is turning into a nice guilty pleasure show for me. So I think I'm going to keep watching that for a while, and I will be back on Saturday for the next Impact stream. And if it's not Saturday, if I have to work on Saturday, which I sometimes do, there will be a notice on my Twitter page. So follow me on Twitter for updates on that. I'm at TheRealFK9, so follow me there. And if I have to push the review to a different day, there's always a notice on there. So follow me on Twitter, and I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Thanks for joining me once again, and peace out.